Hades once again displayed a strange posture, as if he were assassinating the earth. In the next second, the Earth-Shatterer once again heavily hit the King of the Stone. The dust and earth were flying, and the earth was shaking. The King of the Stone Yingjeng was suppressed by 4 blood guns. Everyone thinks that this battle may end in this way. However, in the next second, the King of the Stone's eyes appeared a 5-star pattern. Not only that, he also suddenly made a light movement, like a soil. In the next second, a ball-shaped gas slowly floated out of his mouth. In this way, it came to Hades as if it were tracking. Then, the ball split in front of Hades. At this moment, Hades was stunned. The King of the Stone pulled his 4-blood gun. He grabbed the sharp blade with both hands. Then, he was furious. The whole person of Hades was lifted to the sky. Then came a sudden fall of the King of the Stone. Hades fell heavily to the ground. This blow made Hades' whole body soft and his mouth was bleeding. In the next second, the King of the Stone's palm made a crisp sound. In front of Hades, the King of the Stone stepped in the air and shouted. But the smoke at this moment has not dissipated yet. Hades, who had fallen to the ground, had already done the defensive action in advance. At the moment when the 2 weapons collided violently, Hades' chest seemed to be injured, but the King of the Stone's body was as painful as a sword through the heart. But after 2.5 minutes he adjusted his condition, because next is the real show. The King of the Stone again launched an attack from the opposite direction to Hades. It seems to be the same wave again. What is different from this time is that the familiar gas that collided again came out of the King of the Stone's mouth. It slowly flew to Hades' chest and then scattered. Hades' entire airflow was cut off. At this moment of panic, the King of the Stone had come to Hades' eyes. He only saw that he had transferred all his strength to his palm. Next, he collapsed on Hades' abdomen. In a blink of an eye, Hades was blown out of the stage, and this is the King of the Stone's palm. Everyone outside the stage was shocked, because as the King of the world, Hades, a piece of flesh on the abdomen was bent by a human. When he saw this, the human audience exploded with unprecedented glory. Hades was shaking in front of the King of the Stone. At this moment, he realized that the so-called spherical gas is the so-called gas. Use the gas to form an air block to hit the opponent's strength so that all the moves of the opponent are disturbed. Hades didn't even dare to look at this move. It's too difficult. Not only that, but now in the King of the Stone's eyes, Hades' every point of force was seen through. That is to say, even if it is a fatal blow brought by the opponent, you can also use your eyes to see the point of force. With a light breath you can reduce that kind of force. This amazing move made the little wolf and others want to fight with the King of the Stone. Aim at the opponent's strength point and break the opponent's strength. This is the first move of the King of the Stone, Yingjeng. In the heart of the little girl, there was a question. Since the eyes are so strong, why did the King of the Stone always put on a blindfold and take it off? Get a strong ability. The corresponding one will also lose some things. It can be found in everyone's poor eyesight. The King of the Stone's abdomen has a wound like Hades. Because of this, the King of the Stone will not easily take off the blindfold and use this move. The battle between Shiga and Bo Shun has entered a heated stage. Although the strength of Shiga, who has a big sword, has increased, the situation is still unfavorable for him. The bruise in the left eye and the wound on the abdomen has made him suffer for a long time. Bo Shun's crazy attack has gradually broken Shiga's wound. Everyone thinks that if Bo Shun uses that killing move, Shiga will be powerless. Hades thinks they are a flash. Why do you have to take Bo Shun's killing move? You just need to dodge the flash. Next, in the battle with Bo Shun, Shiga gradually escapes Bo Shun's attack. His future seems to be gradually recovering. Bo Shun's divine beads can't get close to Shiga's half. Hilda understands that Shiga is no longer a blind man. Bo Shun's soul, which should be enveloped by infinite darkness, makes Shiga unable to predict the future. But now, Bo Shun's soul has a fear. The sense of vibration has made the darkness unable to cover up. Shiga laughs. Bo Shun collapses. He can't touch Shiga's Bo Shun's mentality and begins to explode. He used all his strength to use his killing move. It seems that Shiga has been cut in half. In fact, Shiga has fled to Bo Shun's life in time according to the future. There is only one way to leave his back to the enemy. A master once said, "If you are not afraid of growing up, if you can't be captured by the king, if you can't get out of the muddy water, it's like walking on thin ice. If one day you can get out of the soul, you can overcome all difficulties." Shiga raises his sword high. Next, he will advance with the soul. Shiga slowly opens his right eye. The great evil Tanjan divides Bo Shun into two. It's crazy. Humans laugh. When Bo Shun's body adapts to being divided into two, it has been cut into two. He collapsed in front of Shiga for the first time. It's also the last time. After a short moment, the human audience applauded. They shouted for Shiga's soul. Bo Shun on the ground is still heartless, but his body can no longer support his movement. In an instant, Bo Chun's body and soul disappeared. Shiga looked up at the sky. With his eyes open, Xiao Lingfu was running happily in the sky. He has completed his goal. Satisfied, he ran to his father's embrace. The 6th round of the human-god battle. The last one to stand is Buddha Shiga. Shiga's Da Yuanji sword has once again become the goal of Bo Shun. On the way back, he looked at his own hand. You too. It seems that I'm not the only one. I love you. Zero Fu Shiga, who came with Zierdi, finally lost his strength. The two rushed to put him on a stretcher. Shiga stopped and then provoked a wave of Zierdi sisters. It's okay to be so tough. It's okay to be so tough. Huh? I like your instinctive eyes. I like it. On the other hand, the gods were furious. Josie said that no matter what he did next, he must win. With a sound, Hades made a move. He is going to represent the gods to fight the 7th round of the human-god battle. Da Yuan, who heard this news, said, because it is impossible for humans to win over the king of the human world. Day's expression was serious. He walked forward, eye to eye, king to king. Since the gods have moved the king of the human world, there is only one human being who can confront him. That is Jinshu Huang. The wall suddenly appeared with a loud voice. Yingzheng couldn't hold back his emotions and came out of the wall. It's just a blind man. The true destination, that is the road. Why does Jinshu Huang always wear a woman's cheongsam in the end? Because that is the most important woman in his life. Yingzheng, who has been cursed since childhood, was unable to open his eyes when he was 7 years old. Until one day, he was frightened by the soldiers, and his eyes hurt. Then his lowly opened his eyes. Since childhood, he has been living in Zhao State with a mask of a fake smile. Every Zhao people here think he is disgusting. However, the gears of fate changed completely because of a woman one day. A woman named Chun Yan. She reported to Yingzheng that she was the new guard here. Yingzheng still showed a fake smile. Then he took Chun Yan home. Chun Yan felt an unprecedented discomfort at this moment. She was supposed to be a crying age. Why does she always show a secular galaxy? Seeing angry Chun Yan, Yingzheng apologized for what he was used to the most. He also showed a little ugly crying face to try to cater to the woman in front of him. Chun Yan couldn't help but watch this scene. She had to wait until today. Next, the two of them cleaned Chun Yan's heart together. That is, from that day on, Yingzheng, who was small and young, felt the feeling of home for the first time. The next day, the two of them went to the street together. The mouth of Yingzheng behind him was already full of mouthwater. When Chun Yan saw it, she was ready to buy him some snacks. At that moment, Yingzheng in the corner was seen by the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper changed the gentle look before and turned into a fierce hatred. He smashed the bun like a wild dog to Yingzheng. Chun Yan saw the shopkeeper and the shopkeeper getting ready. However, Yingzheng kneeling on the ground and patting the bun. In Chun Yan's shocked eyes, he swallowed it like a stray dog. Yes, one of the descendants of the Qin royal family was forced to stay in Zhao State. Isn't that a stray dog? This embarrassing scene attracted more people from Zhao State to pay a visit. They all know that this is the curse left by the Qin royal family. Endless curses came from Yingzheng's back, and Yingzheng just took the last bite of the bun and apologized again. Chun Yan took Yingzheng home. Yingzheng thought that he was ready to go to bed, but he was stopped by Chun Yan. He took off his clothes and found that Yingzheng's body was covered with a curse-like pattern. He asked Yingzheng what was going on. Did someone kick you? Yingzheng said the real reason at that moment. I don't know when. He met the injured or was hated by others, and this pattern appeared. Even if he saw others touching his face, he would feel touched. As long as his eyes saw the scene, he would feel the same. For him, as long as his eyes saw the injury, it would turn into his own pain. From the moment he was born, Yingzheng had been bathed in hatred. This made him become such a terrible symptom now. Chun Yan was so sad that she didn't know what to say, and Yingzheng seemed to have goatus to this pain. Yes, as long as he kept laughing. In order to reduce the hatred all over his body, the 7-year-old child learned to laugh. He thought that one day he would be forgiven by Zhao Ming. When he heard this, Chun Yan's lips were already bitten and started to drool. He yelled at Yingzheng, "What are you laughing at? Why aren't you angry? Why don't you hate those who hate you? You did nothing wrong. Why did Zhao Ming's hatred for Qin transfer to you? He hoped that Yingzheng would not force himself. If he wanted to cry, he would cry. If he wanted to be angry, he would be angry." At this moment, Chun Yan was already blinded by Yingzheng's eyes. He laughed and told Yingzheng that as long as he lived according to his will, it would be fine. That was the day when Yingzheng couldn't control his feelings anymore. The hatred and tear she had been flowed out of his eyes. Yes, he had never done anything wrong. He didn't even know what it was. Why should he be punished like this? This night was the first time since Yingzheng was born that he vented his feelings. Yingzheng cried all night. The next day, Chun Yan got up early. He gave Yingzheng a pair of eye masks. As long as he couldn't see, he wouldn't take it off. Yingzheng took off the eye mask and put it on. And this generation has never taken it off for more than 20 years. He didn't even know what was in front of him. Soon, he would bring his unprecedented pain to him. Qin Shi Huang, who is said to be the Emperor of the world, how strong is he? Because in the 6th round of human-god battle, Shujia represented humans and defeated the gods. In order to turn the game around, as the king of the world, Hades decided to do it himself. This action shocked everyone. Hades, who could only see anger, took off his eye mask. My younger brother is still alive. Xiao Mei heard this news and was shocked. How could there be a human who could defeat the king of the world? No, maybe there is one more person. Hades went to the control tower. Since the opponent is the king of the world, we sent Yingzheng to fight back. On the other side, a man was already impatient. He kicked the wall and broke it. His long fingers were in the air. The next person was the Emperor of the world, Jin Shu. Huang, on the other side, Ares, the god of war, was scratching his ears. He didn't expect that humans could force the king of the world, Hades, to appear in person. At this moment, he had already thought of the embarrassment that humans would face in front of Hades. Suddenly, a figure quickly appeared in front of them. Not only did he sit on Hades' seat, but he also had a comfortable shadow in his mouth. Helmuth thought that he must have accidentally lost his way and walked into the wrong place. For this, Ares grabbed the man's arm and took him away. However, the next second, he lost his balance and fell into the air. Then, his face hit the ground. Ares lay on the ground. After a while, he woke up. Helmuth was shocked that he could easily turn the god of war into a human. But the next second, the man pointed at Helmuth's head and made him kneel. At this moment, they didn't dare to believe their ears. Then, the man slowly opened his mouth, said that the place where he was the throne. Hearing this, Ares got angry and prepared to scream at the man. However, the next second, he was turned to the ceiling in the same way. At this moment, the door of the lounge suddenly opened. Ares was breathless, and Helmuth behind him said that he finally found him. The 7th battle was about to start. At this moment, the two gods knew that it was unusual for Helmuth to find the human himself. The man stood in front of the crowd and cried out that he knew he was going to die. At this moment, the ring of tears outside the ring had fallen. However, many people came to the entrance of the ring to welcome their warriors. The 3 emperors Liu Bang, Zhu Yunzhang, and Liu Chu personally led the army and guarded the door. Liu Bei was carrying a red blanket on his shoulder. Under the power of the generals, the red blanket was laid on the entrance and formed an unique emperor's head. Then a man walked over of the ring. Everything in the world began with this man. He killed the 6 kings of the 6 countries and their eyes. His nickname was Emperor Shure. His name was Qin Shi Huang. He appeared in full force. However, there was a little girl behind him. She was the sister of the female warrior, Ai Wei-Ti. She complained that Yingzheng didn't have the opportunity to practice magic with her. Yingzheng didn't hold Ai Wei-Ti in his arms easily. When Ai Wei-Ti blushed, Yingzheng was furious. Under the shock of everyone, a golden light slowly covered Yingzheng's eyes. It's my turn to practice magic. The female warrior became emperor. Shu's Shen Luo Kai Shu. On the other side, Hades was holding his own weapon. Suddenly, a familiar figure stopped him. It was his brother, Poseidon. He kneeled on the ground and presented the broken 3-X scabbard to Hades. He begged Hades to bring the scabbard and avenge his master to punish the humans. Hades didn't hesitate and put the 3-X scabbard in his hand. Then, the 3-X scabbard and his spear formed a new weapon called the 4-Blood Spear. In front of the servant of Ganji Tailing, he must avenge his brother. How many men did Ai Wei-Ti love? Among the female warriors, why did Qin Shi Huang always cover his eyes? In order to defeat Hades, Yingzheng used a move that defeated his best friend. It's called the Heavenly Array. He threw Hades out of the white horse and shocked everyone. He was shocked by Yingzheng's easy move. At that time, he removed Hades' strong will and beat him. In other words, Hades used all his strength to stab himself. Hades was slowly standing in front of Yingzheng with his body. The king asked him if he wanted to continue. Hades said, "Qin Shi Huang, do you know what a king is? What is a king?" Yingzheng replied, "Do not be confused, do not be twisted, do not raise others, put the people on the first place." Hades was shocked by his short words. Then he laughed like a sick person. This is the first time that other gods see him laughing. And after a while, the laughter of another man also rose from the opposite side. 2 different kings laughed in the sky. The laughter spread to everyone's ears. Then Yingzheng asked, "Where is it funny?" Hades nodded because he felt that Yingzheng was like his own friend. He is more noble and straightforward than any god, and maybe no one can be better than him, and that person is his brother, King Poseidon. But the most worthy king was killed by humans. As a brother, I will avenge him. Just one person to kill the king. At this moment, the audience found something wrong. because Hades's hand was not on the far end of the weapon, but on the highest point, and it was showing a state of force. This is like the position of launching a bomb. Ying-Zheng shot first. Only to see the opposite, Hades' expression became vivid. Ying-Zheng focused all his power on the right hand. Then he showed a very strange pose, and this move was no longer the same as before. Between the light and fire, his right hand surrounded the gun with a strong roar, and the speed became faster and faster. In the last second, Hades held the lowest point of the four-blood gun. This is the moment when the king of the world used all his power. The ground was broken, and Ying-Zheng's head was blown up. Ying-Zheng's sword was set up in 0.01 seconds. Everyone understood that he was going to use the move of the four-blood gun on Ying-Zheng's head. The difference was that Hades didn't use all his power this time. The heavy weight was on Ying-Zheng. Was he going to let it go this time? No. Ying-Zheng seemed to be suppressed by this heavy weight. Because of Hades' power and the power of the lower arm, Ying-Zheng couldn't let it go. Hades was still very calm and didn't dare to use all his power. The two of them held the middle point for about 2.5 minutes. After the king's roar, Ying-Zheng's feet were starting to bleed, and he was in a kind of awkward position. Next, Hades continued to focus his weight on the point of the attack, but at this moment, the earth suddenly collapsed. In the eyes of Poseidon's servants, Ying-Zheng had followed the sound of the four-blood gun to attack the ground and disappeared. At this moment, Hades was the only one who could turn around. With the shocked eyes of Hades and his sister, Ying-Zheng was lying on the ground, and his blood kept coming out from his skull. Humans lost. They lost to the king, but did they really lose? With the familiar voice echoing behind Hades, a man climbed up and touched the eye mask written by his kidney. The emperors on the stage saw Ying-Zheng's unyielding face and began to tremble, and Ying-Zheng was able to remove the blood from his kidneys. So this time, let me open my eyes and play with you. In fact, there is a most extreme pervert in his favorite thing to do every day is to use living people to make all kinds of mental experiments. The reason why the little spirit talisman became the legendary demon king Guo Xuan was made by this guy. At this time, the god named Bixibu has cultivated a more powerful monster. His body is full of years of sleep as if he was sleeping in a nursing home. At this time, the object in front of him made a huge collision. The next second, with the sound of glass breaking, he stood in front of Bixibu. In his dirty mouth, there were thousands of diseases. The monster, with a low voice, quickly extended his hand. The next second, his arm grew like a giant's like the god he hated. However, his arm was cut in half by Bixibu. The latter said, "Is it going to be abandoned again?" Bixibu was really frustrated. The weak monster was ready to run away from the door. At this time, a mysterious man stood at the door and held his head. The mysterious man made the monster give up struggling and told him that he was a failure. Then he crushed the monster directly on the floor. Then the mysterious man took off his mask. It turned out that this guy was called Adamas, the younger brother of Hades. At this time, he had been transformed into a robot. Adamas went to Bixibu and asked him why he always made such disgusting monsters. Even the 6th day, the demon king Guo Xuan was driven back to life by you. What did you do? And Bixibu just looked down and smiled coldly. He just wanted to make a mid-level monster that could kill himself. His gloomy expression and terrible eyes made Adamas feel embarrassed. In order to ease the embarrassment, Adamas took the initiative to talk about the game. He asked Bixibu why he was so busy outside that he didn't go to the lab to watch the game. Bixibu thought it was completely unnecessary. Hades has 100 kinds that may not belong to him. This sentence made Adamas agree. After all, Hades, the strongest king in the world, is the elder brother of their Greek brothers. At this moment, the battle between Ying-Zheng and Hades has entered the stage of white heat. Hades is now as if he was forced into a cliff, and the most terrible move is the air bomb that can break the opponent's attack. It makes Hades more afraid. However, the gods know the good show has just begun. But with the call of laughter, Hades again killed Ying-Zheng, and Ying-Zheng's air bomb also succeeded in this time. However, Hades' palm suddenly became weak during the attack. The violent shaking directly moved the weapon into a human-like windmill. In this way, Ying-Zheng's air bomb will be completely blocked by this move. And Ying-Zheng was also shocked at this moment. Fortunately, he escaped the attack. Next, Hades' high-speed kick is the corner of the storm. His knee hit Ying-Zheng's lower arm. The intense pain made Ying-Zheng instinctively start to fall back. This moment, Ying-Zheng took the opportunity to try again. The familiar gas exploded in Hades' meridian, which made Hades' attack ineffective. At the same time, Ying-Zheng's right leg in a strange way. In the roar of the fierce tiger, the white tiger was not happy and tried to retaliate. In 0.01 seconds, the air was torn directly and hit Hades. Although Hades blocked this fatal blow, the strong impact still kicked Hades out of the white horse. After the latter stood still, with Ying-Zheng's eyes looking up, Hades' arm was forced out by Ying-Zheng's right leg and a piece of blood. The human body was so terrible that Hades endured the pain and showed his eyes. That is, the unexpected thing happened at this moment. Hades turned his hand and stabbed the weapon into his chest. This wave operation shocked everyone. All the gods didn't know what Hades wanted to do. All they saw was the blood floating like a flower in the battlefield. Who is stronger? In order Towen, Hades actually took out his brother's relic. He wanted to use the blood of the king to make him. Three-dimensional effect. He first pierced his own chest and let the blood fly in the air. Then he covered his palm with his blood and spread it evenly on his embroidered hair. This crazy look is exactly like his brother. On the other hand, Yingzheng also suffered the same pain. That is, after taking a bath, the blood of Poseidon floated in the air and pierced Yingzheng's chest. At this moment, Yingzheng's air bullet seemed to be able to hit the opponent successfully. However, the trajectory of the air bullet suddenly changed. Hades' attack this time was not the same as before, but to use the four-blood spear to make a big P-tower-like movement. Hades understood that as long as he could feel that he was hit, he would do a non-interrupted operation. The air bullet was just a gas bomb to him. The reason why he was bleeding was to be able to use the flesh to confirm Yingzheng's location. The god of war, Ares, became a little man in an instant. Holmes on the stage understood far more than this. He only saw the four-blood spear suddenly make a strange sound and began to be covered with blood. Everyone was shocked by this scene. In the next second, the blood on Hades' body slowly accumulated in the four-blood spear. This was also the first time that Yingzheng's eyes could not see the weakness of his opponent, because now Hades is surrounded by blood without moving. In the next second, the spearhead of the four-blood spear began to grow in all directions and turned into a curved shape like life. Then all the blades revolved around the light speed and became a new miracle. This is the four-blood spear is ultimate power. With Hades' aura of the god of war, the unprecedented pressure made Yingzheng unable to open his eyes. All the airflow in the world seemed to meet at this moment. Next will be Hades' unprecedented killing move. He put the four-blood spear in his hand. In the next second, the four-blood spear shot out. Yingzheng was stunned. At the moment, when he was about to be attacked, he immediately used the power of the city to block it. However, 2 seconds later, the sound of the broken armor spread. The two of them had a tug of war, and the final result was that Yingzheng's armor was directly blocked. This scene scared all the audience, because the battlefield below the stage had been destroyed by Hades. Yingzheng could only rub the ground to reduce the impact of the armor, but at the moment when all the smoke disappeared, Yingzheng was already half dead. Next will be Hades' ultimate killing move, because he also has a reason not to lose.